Peace, HHDG. We are on another episode of HHDG Media, the podcast. And shout out to everyone tuning in right now through our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook group. As always, this is a company which consists of myself as well as Rock KB, T. Smith, the Mayor, and Skelly Top. As you can see in our bottom banner, you can go check out our website, hhmedia.com, for the latest music that's out there, as well as merchandise, upcoming events, and much more music like the music we're going to speak about today on today's interview. For tonight, we have two established guests, very talented in their own right. Both um, have their own particular style. One originally from Detroit, and another originally Brooklyn. Two of them known each other for quite some time. And for this new album that came out on February 21st, Razor. Um, sorry, a little feedback. The album I would consider probably one of the more personal in the catalog of Calcei's album, and also the most relatable. Um, Maybe it's because I'm getting up in age, so I understand where he's coming from in particular aspects, but he continues to show lyricism is always there. The the heart that he puts into the music is always there. And above all, I enjoy this music. I know there's plenty of others that enjoy his work, not just this one, as well as groundwork. I can go in the rest, but for tonight, we want to stick with Occam's razor. Um, Also, one of the only feature on the new album is Greg Green, who listen to Calcei. I this was my introduction, throughout his catalog of discovering Greg Green. He's how would I say this? He puts a particular pinpoint on the matter when he speaks on it that has a distinct delivery that you're gonna listen to it. He definitely complements Calcei's flow and delivery as well. Um, so let's introduce our guest, Calcei. Peace,
Hello, Wiki. How you doing? Good.
and also Greg Green.
Salute. Thanks for the introduction, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. How y'all feeling?
Good, man. I'm ready. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Like I'm really excited about the album and I'm ready to talk about it. Have people listen to it.
No doubt.
Yeah. So how we gonna do this? You wanna ask some questions or we just get into it and speak on it?
No, we're gonna do a nice little introduction.
Yeah.
So if those who are not familiar with Calcei, we've already interviewed him one on one, so you can definitely go into those previous interviews. And Greg Green, this is your first time, so let them know about your upcoming in the Brooklyn and Queens area.
All right, so like I was born in Holland, so this is where I'm at now, like close to Amsterdam. right? The actual original Harlem, that where the white settlers came from, that went to New York and established New Amsterdam. That's so after we moved from New York, this is where we moved to. And this is also where I was raised, like not in Harlem,
Mhm.
but in a different town in Holland. But then I moved around from age 18. I went Paris, Hawaii, and then I ended up in Brooklyn. And that's where, that's where I got around and kind of, you know what I mean? Just came of age, so to speak. Like I was like 18, 19, or a little older, you know what I mean? But then that's when we hit the city and learned the hood and study right knowledge and, got the lessons and,
Mhm.
you know, so yeah, that's where I got it from. And then that was mostly between Brooklyn and then Queens. I used to work in Queens, like LaGuardia College,
Oh,
community
okay.
college. Yeah, yeah. And I lived in Bed-Stuy, so like right off of Fulton.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm in that area often because I work around there.
Yeah. So you know what it is, but it changed too then. Because
Yeah,
like the last time it was just like I didn't even recognize it so much. You know what I mean? Because it was just very gentrified after the building of the stadium,
yeah,
and they're trying to buy everybody out. Some
yeah,
people won't leave; they refuse because they was born
yeah.
and raised there.
And
But the
I get that.
demographics, yeah. But the demographics only changed. Plus, like the value of the property just went up. So why would you leave? You know?
Yep. Especially all those old brownstones now.
Oh
Oh,
man.
oh yeah, oh yeah. You know what I mean? Like, because when I first got there, it was hood. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like I'm talking street hood. But then later on, it became like I saw laundromats and coffee, like donut shops, and I was like, wow, they doing that for us? It's like, nah, they're not doing that for you. They're doing that for the people that's coming. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I was like, and over time, when I first got there, they showed me like, yo, like you see that area like High Street? That's where the Italians got off, the white people got off, and then later on it became like further down, Hoyt Skimmerhorn. Then it
Hmm.
became Franklin. Then it was like, yo, they in our hood now, like in Bed-Stuy, like deep, like Nostrand area type. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow,
Like that.
you know what I mean? It was just a sight to see because like right before that, there was a lot of things going on that particular block that like wasn't, you know what I mean? Like it was straight hood, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, see, I grew up in Staten Island, but my mom used to bring us to Fulton Street and Albee Square Mall, when I was younger. So I saw how it was back then, and I know how it is now. And I remember always saying, we don't need to be around here at night.
Un- un- But see, that's the thing that tripped me out. Is like I remember one time coming back from rehearsal, and me and the guitar player, another guitar player, we was like around Myrtle, like what was it, Myrtle Wyckoff area,
Hmm.
where you had an overpass, and we underneath there, and we looking at, and it was a white girl by herself, like 12, 12:30 at night, midnight, walking by herself,
Hmm.
kind of not paying attention, just kind of just walking like she. And we was like, does she know? Should we talk to her? You know what I mean? And it was like, but then it's two brothers approaching the girl, and then she might freak out. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was just
Yeah.
weird to see the transition.
Yeah.
To see because yeah, it was interesting. Like the whole gentrification and just the whole politics behind it was very interesting because it's really not personal, but it feels personal. But it's real. It's business. You know what I mean?
It's
And that's the
personal.
whole.
It's business for everyone else coming in.
And
Yeah,
I was
Go ahead, man.
gonna say you ended up in Amsterdam because your dad he's a jazz a trumpeter, right?
Yeah, so he was in the army. So he grew up in Memphis, right? In the real era, like 60s, earlier than that. He was in the army during the 60s. So like that's when they put the two together, the races together, right? They integrated the Army.
Mhm.
That was one of the first places to integrate. And but he was done with the South, man. Like that's the reason my auntie she went to Long Island. You know what I mean? Because she was like the terror, the fright of being lynched and being killed and
All
feeling
right.
powerless and fed up and seeing the ease with which people just got killed. You know what I mean? It was like, yo, she was like, I gotta go. My pops was like, I gotta go. You know? So he went into the Army and he met my mom's in Spain. They married in Madrid.
Nice.
And then
Nice.
he since he played trumpet in the Air Force, like he was like, I want to study music. I want to study classical. He already played jazz. So then he wound up in Holland and like he first studied classical and jazz, and then he taught it for like 40 years at the main conservatory in Amsterdam.
Mm. Look at
You
that.
know,
Yeah.
so
And
yeah,
you know, you spoke on, you know, because there's a lot of families from the South that wanted to move away from that because they know what they were going through. My grandmother on my father's side is originally from Meridian, Mississippi. Shout out to Big Crit who also grew up out there.
Wow.
So she had stories that she used to tell of, you know, when she was younger, how it was down there.
yeah. See, my pops, he told me he was going to tell me, but I was too young at the time. Plus, he's traumatized. You know, he can't really speak on it, like because shit'll eat him up. You know, because it's also personal what happened in the family. You know, there's a lot of stories there, and just a lot of old trauma that he carrying from just being a black man child at the time growing up. I mean, like he tells a story a lot of like having a playground in the middle of his neighborhood. He couldn't enter it because it was whites only. You know what I mean? And just the psychological effect that had on him. And so he still carries that to this day. He never got over that. Like that left a big imprint in him, you know? And yeah, you could just feel it, man. You could just feel it. And I'm glad he got music, you know what I mean? Because it's really a release for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which
His
is
music is
which is
Yeah.
why people are like, get over it, racism, it's in the past, don't see color. You're talking about your dad who's still alive, you're talking about your mom who's still alive, who carried the weight and the scars, and then they tell you don't
Yeah.
talk about it, it's over,
Mhm.
it's past, is ancient history.
Now-
And that's what a lot of our the album, few of the songs on there dealt with, for sure. But I don't think Greg is giving himself enough props too on the music tip, because this dude is a multiple instrumentalist and he sings, because he sang some on the album, and he's worked with some really dope artists. If you check out his catalog, and
Appreciate-
very diverse
Thank you.
artist, and very talented dude over here. For
Thank
instance,
you.
like he just did a song with Vice Beats. I don't know if you're familiar, but that's just dope. I gotta holler at Vice Beats myself. We'll see if I can get something going with
Shout to
him.
Vice. Shout to Vice, man. Shout to Vice. He's dope. Good dude too.
But I did want to say too, we actually just met. Greg and I just met because we met
Right.
through Pimp Jones, because he's been working with Pimp for a little bit now, quite a few years
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
That Bob Ross EP, is that what you all did first?
Nah, see what happened was my mom passed, and before that he had this thing with Simple X, right? Herman Puma.
Yeah.
He had a thing, and we got to talking. I don't know how I met him. Like I think whatever, like we online, right? And then I played him the album, and then we got to talking, and then like I was on a low period, you know what I mean? And we kind of just connected, and we made that my second project. And from then on, and it was all love. It was all trust first, you know what I mean? Because at the time I didn't care. I was like, yo, whatever, man. Yeah, I just gave him something, and then he just paid. And it was like you give someone something, and they can take it, or you can come back and bless your project, and and it was just all trust from that point on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like even more so on the musical tip, it was more just like it was getting my mind away from the situation I was going through with my mom passing and everything, and that really put the trust in our thing. You know what I mean? And and from that was like 12 years ago. I think like
Oh, it's been
yeah,
that.
12 years ago.
I know.
Yeah,
I've been checking. Like I know through the years, I've checked the collabs he's done with you, but he's the one
yeah,
who sent the groundworks project that we were working on. He sent tracks to Greg, and
Mhm.
Greg,
right.
Greg did some verses on there on the one for Dub track and the uh,
That's another
verse. Yeah. So that's then we
one.
started. Greg's not on Facebook and shit, so I don't. He's like he only really he does Insta and so I was like I
Yeah,
need to know this dude, right? So I was like I
I
only
tell
do. I'm like Facebook. I don't even do Insta. I don't even know. Like Instagram is like you talk about not knowing what I'm doing. I'm like pressing buttons, like trying to figure shit out on it. But anyway,
yeah,
WhatsApp. So we started talking, and since then, probably the last I don't know, not even a year. We've been talking a lot and
yeah,
collaborating.
That's dope.
So
yeah. Cause
yeah, but that's all pimp. It's all through him because he put us together.
yeah,
Pimpinel Jones.
shout, shout to Pimp, because anything he come up with, man, be it a shout out, be it whatever, I gotta highlight somebody or whatever. If it's coming from him, it's official. You know what I mean? Because we just got that type of rapport. Like he's just a solid dude. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Without
Yeah,
a doubt.
from day one. You know?
Beats engineering, he's on it. He's on it.
Yeah,
He's a craftsman. You know what I'm saying. He puts a lot into it. So that's my guy.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yo, so tell me about the 313 and how you went over to the West, man.
Oh, me.
Like,
How
did you end up?
here? So my wife's a nurse. Well, it's a little bit of a convoluted story, but so she went to school. So we were in Detroit. She worked as a nurse in the city. I was teaching in the city. Then she got into the University of Miami to do the nurse anesthetist school, anesthesiology. So we moved to South Florida. That didn't work out. And then we're like, we don't want to stay in Florida because fuck Florida, fuck Florida, right? But so
Oh,
she, so she, yeah, we're not trying to stay there. We're like, it's not good for working people there. I'm sorry, but it's not good. So anyway, we were
okay,
like
got it.
thinking about going to
Wait, hold, hold
huh?
on, hold on. For the record, we
Yeah.
talking the state of Florida, right? Not the people.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
The
no,
state.
the people in South Florida is cool because it's very diverse. It's a lot of like Venezuelan, Jamaican, Bahamian, Haitian, very diverse. So
Yep.
I like the people. I like the kids I taught. I like the people I met and worked with for the most part. There are
Okay.
some they can get a little dicey in Miami and the Cuban area though. I will say that with racism and stuff
Yeah.
like that. You do have to
Okay.
watch that. But overall, it was cool. It was cool at that part, and being near the ocean, I like that. But anyway, so we're gonna move. We were there for 3 years, and we're thinking about going to the DMV, DC Metro, because we like that area.
Mhm.
Got people out there. Thinking maybe about going back to Detroit, but it wasn't really paying to be in Detroit at the time as far as monies. But so her former coworker in Detroit, and also a nurse, he married her niece. My wife
Okay.
hooked that up. So he moved to Cali first. He got a job as a nurse, and the truth is how it happened is he was saying, "Man, I'm getting paid out here." She's like, "No, I don't believe you." And she sent him a picture of his paycheck, and she was like, "We're moving to Cali." That's how it happened. So we
Ballin'.
were. That's it. And it's been the best move for us. So we love it out here, Northern Cali. We're near Sacramento.
Yeah.
We're living our best life. So I mean, it's not easy out here, but if you're established and have a good job, you can
Yeah,
live well. It's
that's
it's not easy for people starting out, but every situation is different for different people. But
yeah.
yeah, so
You,
it's been good musically being rooted somewhere now. I went through, we moved a lot, like 8 times in a short time, like 3 states, eight
really?
times.
Wow.
Yeah, we went from Michigan,
I
we moved
remember
twice,
that's right. Yeah.
then we moved to Florida, then we moved to NorCal. We moved a bunch of times.
Nothing
I was,
close.
yeah,
Nothing
man,
close, man.
it's the worst. Moving is horrible. But I've been able to really like the music has been since with the consistency, I've been more consistent with my music. Two is be able to write. I have a studio, an engineer that I go to here, a studio in Sacramento. So I've been able to
Hmm.
like uh, be able to focus on producing quite a bit of music in the last couple of years because I finally have consistency. We have a house. We have, it was rough. That's kind of like what starts today. That album I did was that thing was recorded over 3 states in about 15 studios.
Wow.
So I don't even know, but that after I got that done, I was like, oh. So after that, and we settled down here, I've been really on consistently putting on projects. Um,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, Ohkang couldn't be here. Who produced the whole project, well, it's actually pronounced Occam's razor. I said Occam, but it's pronounced Occam
Oh, it
apparently.
is Occam. Okay.
Yeah, Occam.
Yeah.
He's a
I was
like a big,
wondering. I was wondering about that. I was
yeah, but
wondering because it's I heard the concept, and I heard
yeah,
you say it, so I was like, "That's how you say it." But I guess now it's
but
Aka.
I said Occam, like rhyming it like that
Hmm.
to split the syllables. I
Okay,
don't know,
right,
it sounded better,
right.
but I think it's actually pronounced Occam after it's like a medieval priest. But it basically it's just the principle of if you're presented with multiple solutions, pick the one that's the easiest to explain with the least amount of variables. Because the more you try to bog shit down and get esoteric, the less you're
Right.
gonna solve the problem.
Hmm.
Get to the
It
point,
makes
and
a
I
lot of sense.
It
yeah,
does.
and I think that's sometimes and I think that's where we get in politics and you know. A lot of areas in life where we don't get to the point of what we actually trying to do. It gets bogged down in all the bullshit and nothing gets
Yeah.
solved.
Hmm.
And the people suffer. We get our
Mhm.
little petty uh, niche issues that aren't really uplifting the people.
Yeah.
We not That's not getting me health care. That's not bringing the cost of housing down. If all these,
Hmm.
let's
Yeah.
we there's easy solutions to a lot of problems that we just don't want to solve. Is
Yep.
basically the point. We'd rather not
Well,
solve
yeah, it's by design, right?
by design.
Hmm.
It's easier to keep people divided and confused than actually get to a place where we can give people what will make their lives better and
Yeah.
healthier and happier.
Keep them
That doesn't benefit the 1%.
keep them focused on the less important, and that's
Yeah.
how it works.
But yeah,
Yeah. And
but okay, to produce the whole album, and okay, I've been working with since
Dope production.
2014, 2015, and he's busy. We got kids, he got a full time job, just like all of us. But hopefully, he'll be able to come on and talk about it more himself. But we've been working together for about 8 years, 9 years, and I used to record in his cousin's basement in Detroit. We used to record,
Nice.
and his cousin is Black Rain. So they had a group, and they also used to work with like Leaf Erickson. They used to work with Buttermaid,
Shout out to
Butter
Lee.
Family, and he worked with he'd work with Doc Illingsworth. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Dopeness. Yep.
He's worked with a lot of people in Detroit. But he in a way I feel like he has a similar background as Greg because his dad's an artist, visual artist. He grew up around music. his his mother-in-law is Sabrina Nelson is a major poet, big time poet in the city and around the nation. So he has a very rich, musical literature based background. Plus his vinyls collection is just sick. So we ended up. I went to Detroit over the summer to see my parents. They still live there. So I went to a coffee shop and we ended up he was there. We just ended up hooking up. We hadn't seen each other in years. So I'm like,
Right.
yeah. So I was like, yeah, we ended up going over to his crib. We were just playing beats. I was playing the Groundworks project.
Mhm.
What I had done so far, and he played me beats. I'm like, okay, we gotta make this happen. So I'm like, I know you're busy, and and then I was trying to get him to rhyme because he's a nice MC. Don't sleep on that. He can rhyme his ass off. That didn't quite work out. So because of his work schedule and his kids and all that and life. So I hit up Greg. I'm like, let's work on some. So Greg ended up being on 4 tracks on the Occam's Razor album. And I
I
think
became,
go ahead.
I became Robin to your Batman.
Right? Yeah. So I think
Minus the tights.
yeah. The first one was the I Don't Cry track. That was the first one he recorded. I know that. And I
Who
love
did
that track.
that? Who did that beat, man? Because I've been meaning to talk to you about that. That was
Ohkang did
okay?
the whole album. That's why he did the whole
Yeah.
album.
Man, listen, like, I love the beat, but that shit was like hard to rhyme too. Because it was like, it was an inconsistent, was it even a loop? Or was it just, it was like, damn, this shit is dope. But
That's why
damn,
I appreciate him here because I like to talk to him about his process because he does a lot of chops too. You know what I'm saying? He has a lot of chops in his. So his beats are not always the easiest to rhyme to. Just like this next project I got with Beatniks Classics, his stuff's like that too. So yeah, his beats can be a little tricky sometimes. A little. Sorry
it
about
was
that.
fun though.
Yeah,
It was fun. It was a challenge.
that track's super dope. I still say we need to do a video for that. That I would
I'm
love
down.
to do.
I can definitely see visuals for that one.
That's
Yeah. I'm definitely down for that one.
yeah. Yeah, he produced the whole album, so the whole
Yeah,
thing. And he's always about Detroit too. Like he's Detroit, through and through. So
word.
he's a good dude. He's a good dude.
So
Very talented.
how is Detroit, man? Like just growing up in Detroit. Cause I like from the outside, like
Well,
my
see,
first introduction
oh, go ahead.
my first introduction to Detroit was the Kentucky Fried Movie. It's like you say, yo, you can't hurt me. I ain't afraid of you. I ain't afraid of nothing. You said, I'll send you to Detroit. No, not Detroit. That was my answer. I was like, what's up with Detroit?
So I grew up in the suburbs, but right outside of the city. And then I went to college. I went to university in Detroit at Wayne State. And then I taught there for 16 years. We had a business there. My wife lived there. So I mean, I can't claim I came up in the city as far as being a kid, but I spent my whole adult life.
Yeah, you was there. Like,
We had a house there for a while and a business there too. But I mean, what's up with Detroit? I mean, it's what's up with the industrial Midwest. As soon as the auto industry died and manufacturing died, it killed all the cities. It killed Detroit. It killed Cleveland. It killed Flint. It killed Saginaw. It killed Ecorse. It killed all these cities. So I mean, it just shelled out the middle class, and it left a hole, and there was almost 2 million people there in the 50s and in the early 60s. Now there's about 600,000. So
Wow.
you just have these vast swaths of nothing, like just wilderness now. Like my parents live in a neighborhood called Brightmoor, and it's like wilderness. There's deer and fucking turkey and shit running around, and abandoned homes that have fallen down, and they just literally just took and they cleared like a whole area, so it's just woods almost. So it's not even it's wild. Like you can go a long time in some place in Detroit and just there's nothing. Like you can walk and there's nothing. You just keep going. Just
Where there used to be neighborhoods.
oh, beautiful neighborhoods. And some of those homes are
Right.
homes you never see again. And they just rot. Like it's that's what I'm talking. That's capitalism in a nutshell, right? Where you have viable everything and you can just let it sit and die because of
Right.
supply, demand, racism, you name it.
Yeah.
Economic
Right.
status is crazy, and it's just so. I mean, if you go there, it looks. If you're not used to that, it's scary because a lot of people have
Right.
built it. Like they like to do what do they call it? The like they have those shows where they show the abandoned homes, like they call it like abandoned home porn or something, or like
Oh yeah.
something like that. Like they go to Detroit to show it, and it's like with me when I moved to Florida, I was riding with my friend, and she's like, "Yeah, this is the hood over here." I'm like, "How do you know this? This is the hood. I don't see any abandoned homes. Nothing's burnt out, and everyone's living here."
Mhm.
So it's like you can tell usually, but it's like in Detroit, you can go block by block. Some blocks are intact, and the next block there's nothing. And like we in our neighborhood we lived right near the border, right near 8 Mile, between the suburbs and the city. So our street and 2 streets over were nice, but if you go 2 blocks south, it gets dicey, man.
Mhm.
So it's just weird. It's just a weird setup. You don't with the lack of public transportation and with the lack of
Right.
viable economics, it just destroyed so many neighborhoods.
It's terrible.
Because it was purposeful, obviously, because
Yeah.
the auto company didn't want people to have public transport. They killed that. They moved people out farther and farther away from their factory jobs, so they have to have cars to drive in, right? And then with the
Mhm.
riots, people blame the riots. They say, "Oh, it was the riots. That's why white people moved out. That's why business moved out." That shit was happening before that. That shit was happening before. People were my parents' family, that my mom's family, they all lived in the city. They all moved out by the 60s. Shit, my parents, I had cousins that went to the school I taught at in Detroit. There was a Jewish community. Of course, by the time there, it was 100% black, 100%. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then that community even started changing. It was more middle class because people started moving out and renters came in, and it's just it's an interesting city, man. It's really, I mean, I love Detroit. Like I love Detroit. Like you tell my students, the students I teach now, I'll be like, the best city in the country is Detroit. Don't forget it. And they'll be like, the best states. I tell them that all the time. I said, second's Cali. Don't go to Ohio though. So I
This,
indoctrinate kids.
this is what I got from everybody that I know from Detroit. They love Detroit, man. Like
Love it.
with a
Like
passion.
Mhm.
my heart. Like I love that. Like I'll fight you over that city because I love it. I love it.
Right.
It's like people who are from Detroit bleed Detroit because it's.
Yeah, no, I got that. I got that.
Definitely.
But it's
And I can
hard. It's
see.
hard for people who are not from there to go and see what it's like, and they just say, "Why would you like this? Why do you like this place? What's good about it?" And it's like the
So
hard.
what is it?
What is it?
So
It's just. I mean, growing up somewhere, you get used to places, but it's also just like you- the 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 culture, the people. You have so many artists from there. You got Dilla. He's from there. You got so
right.
much music. It's so rich in culture and
Mhm.
art and grit and the people that stay there
Mhm.
are people who are they're real people. Like they they're real ones, right?
Word.
they stay somewhere. They you
I
know.
feel a lot of love coming from Detroit for Detroit, but also out of Detroit. I think of combination of grit and love. When I think of like the Bad Boys,
Yeah,
the basketball team, that like
yeah.
that's my favorite, just because of that old school soul, grit, and that love, and you know what I mean. It's like you could just feel it in that team, and I feel like that team personifies the
It
essence
does.
of
I think, and I just think you know, it's like some, especially because when you come from there and people want to kick Detroit's name or kick it when you're down, but then it's like somebody talking about your relative. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
wow, you can't talk about my brother, sister, my mom like that. You don't know.
right,
You haven't
right. No,
spent you what have you done for that city? What do you know about that
no,
city?
just on principle.
Yeah,
Chip on their shoulder, man. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to
I
hear
got
that.
you.
Like, shut up. You don't even
Just on
know.
principle. Anybody about your family, that's a no no. That's a no go. You know
yeah,
what I
So,
mean?
but people from Detroit love Detroit. Love Detroit. Even
Word,
though
word.
it's got a whole bunch of issues, but you know,
you know,
So you,
my kids don't even like going back that much anymore because they're not used to it anymore. So,
yeah, okay,
but I like
I got you.
I love it. I love it.
yeah. I think
What you?
from the outside looking into the way Greg um, explained it. That's how it always feels. That there's a certain work ethic that's generation after generation that's still there.
Yeah,
Mm,
and then teaching there, it's just you get to really understand what that does. What just watching over 16 years, just how the neighborhood I taught in changed, how the student body changed, and it's like you really get a up close and personal understanding of what our political decisions, what our decisions based on race and class do to the people that don't have as much power as others. You know what I'm saying? You
Hmm.
really see it, and you see how
right.
the how the powers that be they're like fuck Detroit. They don't care about those kids. They don't deserve anything because of test scores, because of this, because I mean it's insane.
These are people in the government, in the local
Oh yeah.
government.
Oh
Are you serious?
Yeah,
no, they didn't care. They didn't care. They shut the city went bankrupt. The district went bankrupt, and they basically, the Republicans
Yeah.
who live north of the city, they didn't care. They were like, "Fuck it, fuck them."
just give up on everything. Yeah,
They're taking our tax dollars. They're taking, all this money, and they're not worth it. So, I mean,
Okay.
it's in so it was not even that far off. That's how that was the basic ethos and that's
So,
kind of like how a lot of people feel there.
mm.
so let me ask you, like after the city went bankrupt, because I heard about that, right? So first of all, it's a first world country, right? America, and there's a state in America that goes bankrupt. That was like kind of surreal for me when I heard that. So when that happened, is it like did people buy up the whole area like they did in other places that basically they sit on it but nobody lives in them, and then later on they sell it to people?
Yeah, so like the Illiches, there's a couple of the Illiches who own the Tigers and the Red Wings. They bought up
Mm.
lots of land. Dan, what's that guy? Dan Gilbert, who has Rocket Mortgage. He owns the Cleveland Cavaliers. He bought up a
Right.
lot of property. So yeah, there were people who took advantage, and then some of them just sit on it. They don't even and just leave it until it could either be
Yeah.
profitable or not.
like
But
like in Harlem, like I seen whole blocks, like you know what I mean, certain people own that whole block, and I was like, ain't nobody living it. Yeah, they own it but they don't do nothing with it until the time is right.
wait,
Know what I mean?
because you
Yeah,
can wait. You buy it that cheap, you can wait and see, and that's
Yeah.
what you want to do with it. But I think that goes back to that song too on the album with Community. And I was
Yeah.
saying it's for me and you, but not really.
Yep.
Right.
Right? They say
Exactly.
that's the whole word for community, but it's it
Well, that's
communities for the
hmm
for the people that can help you increase your your the value of your home or the resale value, and then we start forgetting about that there's actual you know human beings that can
right.
benefit. Like they're building low cost housing over here, and this is supposed to be liberal California, but man, they don't want that shit here. They don't want low cost housing. That's why I'm saying as soon as you hear when it comes down to it, liberal and all these labels don't mean shit when it comes down to it.
Yep.
Down to it is this right
That's
here,
all it is. That's
and
all it is.
Yeah.
and we're not trying to take care of a community. We're trying to take care of ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of Detroit too, is that you know that whole village mentality. If you don't believe that everyone is worthy of dignity and
hmm
good life that you can help bring just out of some simple things like paying a little more in taxes or letting some
hmm
lower cost housing apartments into a decent community to help people have a better life, then what are you really about? You know what I'm saying? So that's where
Well,
you know that song really came from, and I think you spoke on that about your experiences too, and talk about where your dad comes from. I think that hearing that you can hear that in that song.
Yeah.
because it's the same but different. You know what I mean? Like I just spoke to somebody about that the other day, where it's like it seemed like the it seemed to used to be like with the poorer the community was, the more tight knit it was. You know what I mean? And it could be like a romantic view, but it's also realistic. I lived it. I seen it. You know what I mean?
You know?
And a
Right.
part of it is because you're all in the same situation.
Yeah.
So it's like there's nobody above the rest, so you all pull together and you help each other out. Now the problem with that comes in when somebody actually makes some money, then they become a target. You know what I mean? Because then it's like it has to do with abandonment really. You know, you can say jealousy, but I think it's abandonment. Like, yo, you don't want to be left behind, but you see somebody else doing something, and that's where the friction comes in.
Mm-hmm.
But like in the beginning, it's just like even during slavery, like people had tight knit communities, even though the times was rough. You know, you kind of see it in Palestine right now, where people like under crazy circumstances, but they still pull together. You know, and you look at like when you go to the north, like down south is like real clear what the problem is. But you go up north, you're thinking like, okay, it's cool until you seeing like redlining, and then you like not just regular folk, but like I seen a lecture of a baseball player who played for the Mets. He was like a superstar, right? And he tried to get a house and he couldn't get one. It's like he was on the phone and they had him come over. And as soon as he got to the door, the apartment was gone. The house was gone, right? And it was like, wow, even for me, I played, you know what I mean? Like a high class brother, like a rich dude. You know me, you see me on the TV, I can't get this house. It's like, no, sir, it was
Yep.
just it was gone. Like right before you got here, it got sold. I'm sorry, you know what I mean? And so that's what redlining will do. So that's just the same but different all across the board, like you said, with the politics of how the city just kind of just shits on people, and it's by design, like how the people in power keep themselves in power, and by default keep the people from
Well,
coming up.
yeah, just a lot of talk. No matter, that's why I say the labels, the label, like that's like the labels don't matter. It's the actions that matter. How you treat one another, and just like that.
Right.
I guess that goes to that other song we did, uniforms, because what you wear on
Yeah.
the outside, it's what you present,
hmm
Yep.
but it's
hmm
not. Is that what you really are? Or is it what you are inside? You know what I'm saying? So how
Yeah.
do we judge people? Do we judge people by the company they keep or the individual that they supposedly are? Because if you listen to some people, we're all individuals, and that's how we should be judged. But then when you put yourself into
hmm
the company of those who are perpetuating racism and segregation and economic debilitation. You may
Mm-hmm.
say that that's not me, but your people are doing it, and you're wearing the clothes, you're wearing the uniform of those people.
That's it.
So
It's,
how do you separate? You're a cop. You say I'm a good cop, right? I don't do that.
right,
Other cops, right? But
right,
how do you
right.
how do you differentiate yourself from that organization? Uh, it's
That's that right there is a tricky situation because just like in politics, like I do truly believe there's a lot of people that go into politics or even
sure.
become like a cop that with good intentions and then they get
Absolutely.
in it and then they committed to a situation. You know what I mean? Because it's not easy switching jobs either. You
No,
know,
it's
because your
not.
whole family depends on it, and it's like now you in a situation where it's like, yo, I wanted to do good, but like the moment you do good, it's like you get told, nah, that ain't it,
Go
son.
this way. Mhm.
That's the whole. That's the tricky part of navigating life, right? How you judge, how do you judge people as individuals and separate the individual from their who they represent or what their uniform represents, right?
Yep.
It's and that's going to be your relatives, your family members too, right? There's going to be people who,
Fact.
and it's like how you. It's just like all the MAGA people. Well, I'm not like that. I'm not racist. Yeah, but you're down with you're down with these folks, right? These
Yep.
your people.
Quack,
So
quack, duck. You know what I mean?
just like in Europe, man, all the anti-immigrant like Amsterdam, they just elected a right-wing government because every time they
No
say they
question.
want to change something, it's the same liberal folks, so-called liberals, leftists, whatever you want to call it. Then they vote them all out. They're like, nope, 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 nope.
It's
Nah,
like this. It's like this. Like when I talk about America, it's kind of like people know that like it wasn't Europeans' land when they got there. You know what I mean? And even Europe was originally like Cheddar Man was a black man, and those were the first to actually inhabit Europe. But that's been so long, people don't consider Europe a black area. You know what I mean? So like in Europe, it's really like, yo, this is our land. Like so, if you have black people come, they coming from outside. Like it's no problem for Europeans to go everywhere and just go everywhere and set up shop and not just be part of the society, but actually dominate the society.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like enslave people in their own country. So then when Africans come to Europe, now it's a problem. But you like, wait a minute, hold up. What about quid pro quo? Like what about like like you got Nescafe, Nestle, you got oils, diamonds, and all these. And then when people, you know, come to Europe, it's a problem. But it's funny because it's underneath the surface. Like Amsterdam, for example, is very liberal. Like there's a lot of artists and there's a lot of free thinking going on. But in essence, it's real conservative because once you touch people's survival, like across the board, all humans, like once you threaten their survival or perceived survival, it's like nah, that's a little too close to comfort, man. Like I don't want, you know what I mean? Like they feel like the first generation, it's all right for you to clean my toilets, but you just stayed, and your second generation went to
Yeah.
school. Now you have
Mhm.
doctors and nurses, and then now it's a problem. Now you got to go. But then, but these people don't know what it's like in Morocco. They were born here. You know what I mean? They visit the place, but like their roots are here. You know. So
well,
then that causes friction. Everybody needs like a scapegoat when things go rough. I compare it to like water, right? If you look at the surface, you don't see you don't see the rocks underneath, right? But the moment it can like the economy, like the money goes down, you see the problems, and then the problems stem from like racism, really. You know what I mean? Like they blame someone, and they want to blame them for their own problem.
Everything wants to surface
racism
up.
and colonialism, right? But colonialism, racism go hand in hand. So you can't extract the racism from the
Yeah.
colonialism. You can't extract the racism from the capitalism. So,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
like you said, though, that it's okay to go. It's okay. We get our precious metals and diamonds in mines
Yeah.
in Tanzania and in the Congo and whatnot.
And then bring them to where they
You
at.
don't have to see how it gets made, right?
Yeah.
Right. Right. And then that's why I like what's going on now, because they're telling, the leaders over there, like before they had puppet leaders, now they got leaders that tell them, look, we're gonna put our own money into our own country. And historically, what you see is like whenever like when Chavez did that, or Gaddafi tried to do it, you know what, the result, but still it's brave for cats like Malima, the other cat, to do that, because that's really what's needed. Because if anything, you need a fair exchange. You know what I mean? Like set up. Don't just take my stuff out my country and make my country poor and your country rich. Nah, like refine it over here and buy it for a good price, like you do anywhere else in the world. And stop treating our economy like it's yours. It's not yours. It's my country. You know what I mean?
Resources.
And and once that happens, then you have equality, economic equality, and then you can start building your own thing. You know what I mean? And you don't have to. It's a pride thing to look at. You know what I mean? We can do it ourselves, but we've been doing it ourselves because culturally everything comes from Africa. You know what I mean? But as far as like the way the world looks at Africa now, it's been under the boot for so long. It's time to get rid of the boot and actually come up.
Come up, yeah.
And this is the way you do it, to remove the boot and do your own thing. And I'm proud of that myself. When I see that happening, I'm just like, yeah, I really like to see that, because we know Africa is the richest place on earth, like as far as the culture, the minerals, everything. So, and the economics don't reflect that though, so that's the problem.
Economic exploitation, but so just to get back to
that's the thing we're going.
I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah.
I was gonna say let's play a little bit of Community, since
you wanna play it.
A lot of what we were just speaking about was on that.
We'll do it.
All right, there it is.
Okay.
You rocking the cassette?
Rules and so forth and so on. It's very difficult to talk about anything so concrete as someone here being given some side money. But it is very easy to see that the Model Cities program, after 3 years of operation in the city of Oakland and in West Oakland in particular, has done essentially nothing for the people other than put in some streets and a few bus stations that will protect people from the rain partially.
We all from a hood, a place we call home. Varying degrees, depending on where we roam. It could be the holler, the projects, the burbs. One thing we have in common, a capitalist tainted point of view. Once we get ours, it's like, fuck you. Yeah, we need healthcare, but not from my dollar. So just follow the golden rule. I get mine, and you get the boot. Placed on your neck, blamed for being black and poor. You're a victim of the American system. Benefits, privilege, whether race or class. Socioeconomic status put you on the wrong track. And these white liberal motherfuckers are the first to ask, why are they here? Can we send them back? Low cost housing fucks up my property tax. And house values depreciate when people peep the retrobates down the street. Yeah. It's called Community. It's for me and you. But not really. Not really. It's called Community. It's for me and you. Yeah, but not really. Yeah, not really. Yeah. Yo, talking about what a...
Yeah, that's Greg on there singing too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yep.
But it's exactly what you were talking about, man.
Yep.
But the thing, and too, like shout out to Ohkang too. He got those vocal samples on there too. So that drove the track on that one. So that's what made me think about that for that track. Just and you know what else? The hook on there. There's a Homeboy Sandman song that's similar. He says something. I can't remember the song, but he's like, "Not really, not really."
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of I kind of like he said something like that, so I kind of played off that a little with that track.
Mm-hmm.
I love Homeboy Sandman.
Yes, indeed.
But, and I also want to show you this is the cassette that came out on Good Darts. You look on there, there's the label on there that says Good Darts.
There you go. Goes a link to that.
There, Good Darts is a little company in Europe and London, well, England, UK, and my dude Slipper, he put this out. I just got these. You can take a look. I've never had an album on cassette, so you can see the inside.
Yeah, that's right. I like that. I can't wait to get mine.
Yeah, I got you. And then I got the track list on there. So I hooked up with him. I just thought online like everybody else, but he does you all remember Garbage Pail Kids?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he still makes Garbage Pail Kid illustrations and puts them up, and he does records, Chop Herring Records, right? He does art for them too. So he's starting a label doing like limited run cassettes. But what I also want to show you, the artwork, Wiki, we know the artist who made this, right?
Yes, indeed.
T. Elliott Mansa, a very dope visual artist from Miami. So this art is actually one of his exhibits, and he does like kind of like found art. And this is not a picture, but it's actual. This is like it's a 3D image, right? So these are real objects. So he takes them and puts them on a canvas and paints them, right? So if you go and this is part of one of his exhibits. So he was dope enough to let me use that for the cover because the dude is bad. He teaches art now there. He went back to Miami to teach art to high school kids too. He's a bad artist too. He's got so if anyone go check out his website and his art. This is part of one of his exhibits. So good dude, T. That's the guy.
He's got some great exhibits.
My son did the lettering.
Nice.
So he did the graphic design. So he did the graphic design for the Groundworks too. He doesn't like to do credit though because he doesn't think he's good at his graphics. But
hey man, you gotta get that credit.
So but so it's dope. I'm happy. This brings me back. I remember getting the first ride I had that had a cassette player. I thought it was shit. I thought I was riding heavy but then if I didn't lock the car, the homies would come in and steal the tapes if it was a good one. I'd have to go buy the Wu-Tang. I think I had to buy that 3 or 4 times. If I didn't lock my car, they'd come in and steal the cassette. I don't know what happened to it. Yeah, that brings me back. Now I gotta find my all the kids now like to buy vintage stuff, so I was trying to get them to go find me a decent cassette player.
Word.
Yeah, I haven't got this. So that's from Good Darts, and then we got I don't have the CDs yet, but that's through ditcd.com. Also some good dudes. Also, Ian's kind of they're compatriots of Ian's too. Ian hooked me up with them, and they put out the last 2 on CD.
Yes, indeed.
So, big up to them. Good dudes over there. I'm just waiting for them. So they're based in Hawaii. Didn't you live there too, Greg? Hawaii?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Yes, I did. What part? What island?
I can't remember. I think he's in Honolulu. I'm not sure.
Oahu?
I think so.
Oahu, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man.
Shout out to Oahu. Oahu was nice, man. Good people.
Hawaii.
Good people.
I went to. I got a crazy song on the next album about what happened to me in Hawaii. You're gonna have to stay tuned for that story. Oh yeah, I got a whole verse on what happened to me in Hawaii on the next album.
You saw my man, he went like this. He's like, yeah, that's how you know it's real. It's like,
yeah. So that was an interesting trip. Yeah, man. So I'm looking forward to getting that CD to you too, so you can check it out.
Definitely.
But yeah, I like how these cassettes turned out.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my copy. I already put in the order for mine.
A word. That's what's up. So I got to get. I'm talking to Greg. We're working on another project slowly right now, and I'm gonna get busy now because I'm on break. And I think we're tentatively going to call it personalities. I think that's what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be based on each track is going to be the name of like a historical figure. It's going to be based around that, like different historical figures, thematically based on some of their ideas and things like that. So there's going to be a joint project from Greg and me that'll eventually come out. I already got the beats. The beats are all going to be by Mom Placebo from New York. That's another one of my guys I've worked with for a while. So I've been doing this is my second. So Occam's Razor is the second. I'm doing a series of one producer albums. The first one was with Pimpernel Jones. The second one's with Ohkang. The third one's going to be with Beatnik Classics. So we need to get him on here. I know you probably haven't talked to him. Very dope producer. Then the fourth one will be Mom Placebo, the one that we're working on. And then I got another one, Jaron Monet from the group, Melanine Music.
Yep.
We're working on. We got something in the works. So yeah. So I'm just keeping going with that one producer concept.
Yeah, nice.
So, now we didn't really get too much into it, but with the whole concept and theory of Occam's razor, how much was put into the album, and then what were the steps to make it more simplistic?
Oh man, so simplicity is that's like my middle name, bro. I have to be simple. I have to keep things real simple because I got a full-time job. I'm a teacher, and I got 2 kids. I got a wife. I got a little puppy too. So I'm busy. I'm mad busy. So I have to make things very simple, keep things simple. So my process is that I write everything. I write a whole album. I go to the studio 2 or 3 hours. I record the whole album right there. 10 track. I usually do 10, 11 tracks. And so I have to be disciplined. I have to know what I'm doing. I gotta, have all my shit together before I go. I don't fuck around in the studio. I'm like, I get in the booth. I don't come out till I'm done recording an album. I start with the first track and go through till I'm done. So and then that's why I plan out how I'm a theme, a producer, and I make sure I have everything right. So it's challenging. So it's a challenge to me personally. That's kind of, I like that challenge too, because it's like having bringing something to fruition and challenge myself mentally and artistically to produce something. Like now I'm on break from teaching right now. So I got to this is it. I got to put in the work to get this in. I want to get to the studio. So within the next week, I gotta put in some work and get to the studio the week after, because that's like my challenge to myself. I want to produce I want to record an album like every time I'm on break. So the name of this album, I didn't come up with the name. I had talked to T for a long time about the art. I had worked that out, and then I had the tracks all done. I had the tracks since the summer with Ohkang. We worked that out, but then I just decided that I just thought that the title should be Occam's Razor because it kind of goes along with what I just feel that trying to keep things simple is the most important thing because we
Yeah.
we have all these people that tell us how things should
Mm-hmm.
be, how what the solution is when really the solutions, you know, a lot of times it's very simple. It's just that we don't obfuscate it. We want to, muck all the shit up and make it way more
Mm-hmm.
difficult to be. So that's why I named the album that because I kind of feel like it represents where I'm at in my life too. And I think I kind of feel like the older you get, the more you want to keep you look at things and it's not as hard as you thought it was when you were younger kid. You hopefully you get that wisdom as you grow older and say, um, this is how really we need to do things. It's not trying to come up with a different euphemism for everything and you know stop.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to the point where how are we going to help human beings? That's where I think I'm at, and I don't need a lot. I don't need a lot in my life either. I like. It doesn't take a lot to make me happy. You know what I'm saying? So I, uh, I just like I like things pretty simple too.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think when you look at a lot of older people, if you notice, not only do they have a same routine, but what they do in those daily routines is not too strenuous. It's not too taxing on their mind and their body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind
Yeah.
having I like having a challenge in my life. I think that is important though to have. That's why I like. I mean, I think we're all about the same age. We're in our 40s, going on 50. But that's why I'm like, it's important for me artistically because it keeps my mind. You do the same mundane every day. I love my job. Don't get me wrong, but your job it grinds,
Yeah,
and everyone needs an outlet. So, and I think it's challenging mentally for me too, is it keeps my mind astute to keep pushing and writing and not only that, but meeting new people and collaborating. Because I'm not going to be superstar rapper. I know I'm not going to be that. All right, but I keep meeting new people and making these connections, like Greg. To the next person, next person, next person. I constantly keep meeting people, and which broadens my perspectives artistically, as well as just knowing good people. So
Mm-hmm.
the more I put out music, the more people I meet, the more connections I make, and it makes my life richer too. Just being involved with that also keeps my I guess my creative juices flowing too. It makes that's important because I don't want to be I don't it's easy to get I think there's a balance. You don't want to get stagnated where you do the exact same thing every day, but
that's true.
because this right. So it changes up life's routine because it's not easy to just sit to write 11 tracks, go record them in one session, and then go out. And I got to try to do this a little bit. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's not easy,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a good challenge, and it keeps me motivated, and I think it makes it's important to keep your brain and your creativity in tune and moving.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
So
man. I think the whole concept of simplicity, you know what I mean, is if you have animals, like they don't waste energy trying to
Mhm.
let you know what's up. They love you or they
Yep.
hate you, whatever.
yeah,
They don't mess around when it comes to that. Like when I laugh when I see politicians, you know what I mean? Because like we all know what's what. Like we see going on, we got senses enough to know what's right and wrong, and then
That's
you
right.
see people like just because of the politics behind it or the agenda, like you see them squirm, like they've been told what to say or not say, and then you just trying to see them do like mental gymnastics, trying to like, well, like no, I didn't see it, no, I didn't know, like, and you just like, yo, how? Everybody knows they're lying, right?
everyone
So it's the
knows.
same thing. then everybody knows what's up. Like, come on, don't front for me. You know, I say in the hood, like, you don't front for me, son. Like, you know what's what. And
Mhm.
it's the same thing with like what Malcolm, like Elijah Muhammad told Malcolm, it's like, yo, you got a lot of knowledge and intelligence, but you're moving too fast. You know what I mean? Like, just slow it down a little bit
Oh,
and spoon feed people and give
Yeah.
them a taste and have them come back and give them another taste. You know what I mean? So that people actually understand what you're saying more so than you trying to like overwhelm them with your intelligence. You know what I mean? And I
that's
think that's
another point on that song. Like you, there's a fine line in how in communication between coming off like a pretentious asshole and actually getting the point across to people so they want to follow you or listen to you or take the leadership you're offering. Because if you're trying to be, you're trying to take your degree, your PhD or your master or your college degree and say, look at me, I'm here, you're here, you
right,
need to, so
right,
there's a fine line in how we approach things and how we talk to people. And especially
exactly.
as a teacher, I can't do that. I can't talk down even if these little, they're 10 years old. So I have to bring it to them, but I also have to talk to them, and I don't talk down either. So it's like this fine, you know what I'm saying? There's a
Right.
fine
Yeah.
line to being a leader and being a good communicator and being precise
Right.
in your words, but not being pretentious or esoteric or trying to trick people. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And that those are things I think you learn in time. And if you don't, I don't think you're going to be a good communicator. And
Well,
same thing, and just in relationships in general, a lot of shit
Mm-hmm.
gets lost in translation when it doesn't have to. If you just keep things simple and say what you really mean and what you feel, that's always the best practice. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you don't want to you don't want it's much better to be direct and clear than
Mm-hmm.
aggressive and
Right.
you know
Right.
and
yeah.
yeah.
And the thing, what it does too is like it separates people, just like money and wealth and whatever. It's like if you if you put yourself above people, or you create a distance between people
Yeah.
with look what I got, look at what I know, look at this, as opposed to look, we doing for us. That's what made um Muhammad Ali so great, in my opinion. You know, he never lost that touch because it was never about just him. It was always about us as a community. You know what I mean? And just the courage to be honest, even in the face of like white mainstream America. You know what I mean? And that's what Malcolm same way. You know?
That's what I think is
And
lost to the activist class today is they want to invent all these different euphemisms.
yeah,
Like, come on, man. Why nobody can understand what you're talking about? Just say
Just
what
exactly.
stick
you
to it.
mean.
The point.
Like
Yeah.
we need healthcare, we need jobs, we need safety, we need
Right,
good environment. Why just keep
right,
it as that's why I like Bernie Sanders because he kept shit so simple and like people didn't want him to be simple. They're like, no, you got to be more complex. No, you don't. We need healthcare.
English.
We need good jobs, and we need to stop spending so much on the military. Come on, and we need the environment.
Yeah,
It's not that
I
difficult.
don't know where that came from. I don't know where that came from. Where people had to, where everything became so intellectual. Like
When
because it's like I understand.
no, when they think they're intellectual though, they think that they've been trained to think that if you speak a certain way or use very esoteric language, that no one out
Right,
that's only that only I understand. It means that I'm better than you. That's the whole point of that song. That's what I'm talking about. Is that we don't get things done
right.
that we lose the whole message in the language and trying to be complex and trying to to trick people or trying
Mhm.
to pretend like it's about us. It's not about the message. It's not about the people. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say that's not good leadership. That's not moving the needle. That's not it's taking a small percentage of people it's like Twitter class. It's like saying you got like 5% of the people on Twitter, they all talk the same, they all say the same thing, they're all activists, but who are they really helping? They're helping each other. You know what I'm saying? They're not
Right.
helping the people they purport to be supporting. You know what I'm saying? As a leftist, who are you really bringing up? You're bringing up yourself and your other people that speak the same language as you. So
Right.
I'm just that's how I look at things right now. And I don't think it's getting it
Like you
done.
said,
So
it's like what it reminds me of is like if I could say this, it's like with music, right? I remember reading BB King autobiography, and he was talking about how he was driving a cab through New York City, and he had Charlie Parker in the back seat, and Charlie Parker was like, you know, the jazz god, like everybody wanted to be like him and play like him, and Charlie Parker was like, it don't matter how complex you get all the way out there with all the concept and the, you know, you can go out of space, but sooner or later you got to come back down to Earth, and
yeah,
Earth is the blue.
yeah. See,
And
that's
Earth
how.
is the basis of everything is the blues, and the blues was what BB King do. That's who he was, you know, and that's who like all jazz musicians are really in essence. It's like because we coming from that, so it's like, and the blues is 5 notes, with a blue note is just added 6th note. You know what I mean? It's like simple language. It's like, you know, if you listen to the lyrics in the blues, it's straightforward. There ain't no complex, ain't nothing complex. It's like straight up hip hop. You know what I mean? Like there's no misunderstanding in hip hop. When it's like when people step to you, it's like, yo, what up, son? There's no, you know what I mean? You can interpret it in different ways, but you feel what it is. You know what I mean? Like there's no mistaking it.
See,
There's
I
no
like.
mistaking it.
I do like to have songs where I play with words, where it's not that like that one we did the 2 verses. That's why I said you asked me what's the theme. I said whatever you want. So
Right.
I called it. I like how Pimp he took that beat and he kind of like he dropped the beat and brought it back in after my verse on that song, and you came in with a whole different story, which I liked on there because
Yeah.
what I was doing was I was riding the kick on that song, right?
Uh-huh.
And then at the kick that was where the rhyme pattern happened, but that's what I was mostly just playing with words to go along with that, which that was my intent, is just to play with words and kind of, and then you came in with a whole different, that's why I called it 2 verses, because it's like 2 different songs in one
Right.
song. Cool. So this is why I like,
Okay.
I do like to mix things up and have songs where I have just wordplay. It's just word, like I'm really playing with words just to see, and phrases, which can be considered
Right.
or not. But what I've found, what I think I've talked to other MCs about this, is that to me, it's easier to write a song where you're just playing with words than to try to get direct when you're like a song like Uniforms or a Community. Those kind of songs are harder to write because you're trying to get a message that people can understand and to say it right. So then when you're just doing wordplay, it's a different form of writing,
Right.
form of expression. It's fun to me to do wordplay. It flows
Yeah.
because I'm not really.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not saying shit. It's how the words sound. You're playing with the language.
Mhm.
When you're making a
Yeah.
song very specific, you have to be specific with your language. But that's why I
Mhm.
think for me, when I'm MCing, that's what I'm looking. I like to switch things up. Like I want some songs to be kind of weird and just out there playing with words. Then other songs I want to be very direct and tell a story.
Mhm.
Have that is very hard to understand, but that's me. That's how I like to write about different things, because
Yeah.
like I Don't Cry obviously is a very is you got to take that song with tongue and it's almost like tongue in cheek
Yeah.
or it's sarcastic.
That was funny.
Yeah, because I'm
Like,
like
that was funny to me. Yeah.
because
I forget the lyrics you said, but you said I don't cry, but that's just suppressed.
Yeah.
yes. Right. So it's like you said, it's like the dude who's like, man, I don't let these bitches get to me. I don't let them do. I don't cry.
Wow.
Right. I just keep everything inside all the time until I die from a heart attack, because I never actually dealt with any of my emotions or anything. I've never actually had a real adult conversation because I don't cry. I don't show that shit, right? I'm an alpha male. I don't fuck around. I don't, like I hate
And
those
that's
conversations.
and that's funny because in a way that's kind of like a mirror to a lot of men in our society. Like, yo, we're not taught that.
Mhm.
Like, especially now, my pop's generation is probably the last generation of people that didn't really get in tune with their feelings. You know, after that, it became like we open up more. Like conversation I would have with people from that generation is kind of like is we getting there. You know what I mean? But like especially in like blue collar towns like New York, Boston, Detroit, we ain't got time for that.
Right.
What?
That's
Like,
but even if you, but I think it's, I look at that a couple ways. One way, if you tell somebody like I don't cry, you're actually crying out for help. If you told somebody that I never shed a tear, I never shed a tear, but if you tell somebody I'm an alpha male, I wear the pants, I take care of business, right? But you don't. If you had to tell people that, you know what I'm saying, you're not really that. You are
right.
you are trying to portray that image. So the more that you have to tell people what you are, or what you stand for, you're probably not really that. You probably might want to be that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's on. And I thought your verse on there, it was very poetic. Like you could you must write poetry, right, Greg?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could. That was some good imagery on that. Same thing with the two verses. The imagery, that was a good story, man. Like that. Those were strong verses, bro. Strong writing for real.
Coming from a teacher, though.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm not bad at writing. I can write a little bit. But yeah, so I try to mix. There's some heavy political shit on this record, right? But I also try to mix it up with some wordplay, like two verses, barbed wire pledges is
you always get that in.
And then like scam like leaves more comical. That's a more comical type album. Like that. I'm so always somebody trying to get somebody on the phone when you're talking to customer service, right? And then that Luddite song at the end was more about that's just about people who tell people talking about how they're not. I don't have a TV. I don't have internet. I don't do anything. But then they're like, but look at me, I'm on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like they claim all that. I can't. Oh man, I can't. Like I don't have a TV. My kids can't watch TV. My kids don't do this. I don't give them this. I don't give them that. I don't give them that. I don't do this. I only eat vegan food. I only eat this. I only that. Come on, man. Stop.
Yeah.
I gotta tell everybody that. Especially when and then to be on on Instagram talking about it. I don't use the internet except when I'm on Instagram. That kind of stuff. But I don't know. So yeah, I try to just cover different stuff, and I don't know if you know that interlude that Ohkang did. That he
I love that.
That shit is bang. That bangs. I was like, I'm not even gonna rhyme on this, but you know whose voice that is on there, right? That's Kwame Patrick, former mayor of Detroit, he was in jail for a long time. And it's interesting because he put that on. He's talking about he's being blamed for because he got convicted of like embezzling all sorts of money and improprieties in the city, which is fucked up because that's the last city that needs to have stuff embezzled. But looking back, I was like pissed at that dude. But then looking back, I'm like, I mean, he's right because he's just a symptom of the whole sick.
Oh yeah,
system, and it's like he's so there's a lot of Detroit flavor in this album. I wish hopefully Ohkang can come on. We can talk about because I told him that you wanted to know about that Cortex sample, and he's like, "Oh, which song?" I'm like, "I'm not telling you until you come on and talk about it. I'm not telling you which song."
I'll play a little bit of it, but I'm not gonna let people know what it is. So
you want to play it?
Yeah, I'll play a little bit of it. Leave it at that.
That was on Uniforms.
I think it was Community.
Was it on Community? Okay. Is that what you said it was? Let me see.
But yeah, the interlude was dope. The sample, right? Was that the one?
The Kwame interlude, yeah. Let me see. Which song did you say that was on? I think you said it was. Is that it?
Hold on a second.
It's on uniform. No, it was on uniforms.
It was uniforms, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, let me get that real quick. I'm just gonna play the beginning. You can hear that?
There it is. Yeah, Cortex. That's that people. You know, that's like a digger's dream. That's that album. Cortex.
Man,
That's a heavily sampled album.
you know what's crazy? When Madlib sampled some of this stuff, I was mind blown that he knew about them at that time.
Oh yeah.
But,
they've been.
you know,
I've known about Cortex for a while though.
Yeah.
That's super dope. Super dope. Man, you need to you need to play that verse. Greg's verse, the second verse, the two verses, his verse on there. I love that verse. Man, put that out before we leave.
Definitely. Actually, I'll set that up right now. But before we do that, Greg Green, tell us about your name, how that came to be.
About my name, Greg Green?
Yeah.
That was just I don't even know. Like my name Gregory, my government.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think my dad used to call me Greg. And I like to spell with two G's for feel wise, you know what I mean? It was just like Greg, feel like you know what I mean? More so than Greg with it one G. I don't know. It feel kind of skinny. You know what I mean? And GG works, you know. Greg Green, it's clear, like it makes sense, you know. But nothing really deep behind it. It was just that's my name, and I flipped it a little bit, and that's what it was, you know.
Lots of keys.
Yeah.
Let's get into that 2 verses track.
Yes, sir.
Go to his verse. Hear that.
Late for the date, my face seal the cake. The score, tied to the faked fillet served like steak. Digested and ate, lesson view the whole human race in a much better place.
That's
right there. See how he dropped that beat?
I took the key out the ride, parked the hoopty in the middle of the block by the tree underneath the shade. It was fall, 2 tall silhouettes, smoking Newport cigarettes, walking my direction, following the red lights and blues music to the hole in the wall. Yellow street lights glowing in the dark, turned the black night into a hazy dreamery, ghetto scenery, mink coats and pinky rings shining, thick thighs and creamy things tucked inside a diamond skirt so tight it hurt. The smirks on the faces that stopped the lurk. She turned heads like the pages of a book, daring you to look. Cat shook, her face buried in the maze of crooks. She got me hooked. She looked classy and sassy when she walked past me. I knew what to do, she didn't have to ask. I opened up the door to the floor, moving the curtain to the side. Her lips said hi, I stared into her eyes and that was it. She lit the place like Broadway, coming through the doorway, and I proceeded to head north like Norway, looking for a nappy ending to the story.
Yeah. I can feel that. Feel like I was there.
You know? Yeah, man. Good looks. Yo. It was fun writing that too, man. Cause it was like, you know how I go when parts of the puzzle come together, and it's like, yo, what? I like I never really wrote stories like that. I mean, when I was young, yes, but then seeing it and then like, okay, what should I do next? You know, and then it comes together and it's like, oh, okay, that works. But I didn't I had a whole next part to the story. That's already what, 16? That was a 16, or that was even more. And it was like, yo, how do I?
16.
Yeah, I was like, how do I finish it to make it make sense? You know, it was like, okay, and then finally it came together. I was like, yo, I think I could get away with this ending. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good. I like how you wrapped it up. It was dope.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and Ohkang, that beat, he chopped that to a bunch of MCs. He's like, nobody wanted that. I'm like, what? That beat's dope as hell, man. I'm using that without a doubt.
Right? That's funny. That yeah, slept on.
Yeah, he said yeah, and people be like, but I love the beat.
Man,
Hey man,
I wonder what else Ohkang got that he hasn't put out.
Yeah, he got a ton
right?
of stuff. He got albums he hasn't put out.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
but you need.
So
I
what's
wish, huh?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You got. I wish. I remember the name. He's got an album out with his dad. He did a whole album. You know, his dad plays. I think his dad plays guitar, but he's got a whole album with him.
Oh
He
wow,
did.
that's dope.
It's like a jazz album,
That's
basically.
dope.
Yeah, I put that up before.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, put the link up there.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of the last albums he put out. He did a project with this guy Strife too, from Detroit. I did a track with him on one of my albums. He did a whole project with him. I think Strife's dope. Strife's part of Illingsworth's crew, Detroit City crew.
Mhm.
I don't know what happened to Strife though, bro. The Strife ran his ass off. I don't know what happened to him. I honestly haven't heard from that guy, seen that guy. I don't know. He's not making music. He just kind of bounced.
Yeah.
It's funny how that happens. You got these guys that are talented as hell, and then
Just I know it.
yeah,
Life happens.
your life happens.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, there was
It does happen. It never stops happening, does it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was I don't remember the artist's exact name, but he's from Los Angeles. He dropped a really great album, just one album, no singles, no videos, anything before that, after that. And I used to follow him on IG, and then for a while I noticed that he got, he succumbed to drugs addiction and everything. And then I haven't seen anything, heard anything from him since then.
Wow.
This artist, which is funny because a lot of artists make revivals like that in the '60s. When you think about it, just like when hip hop, like in the '90s, where everybody was dropping CDs, and when you start like digging in the crates or whatever, and then there's this one kid, I forget his name now, but they picked it up on one of these shows, and it was just like, it was dope, son. He sounded like Al Green, and every song that I heard was just on. It was on point, yo. And it's like I never heard of this dude until for some reason, you know what I mean? And it was just, look, this dude was the Rondo. You heard of him?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I never heard.
Didn't I?
I never heard of him. And then he was on that what's that movie, that very popular show about
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
I heard the.
He's kind of like Sixto Rodriguez too. Sixto Rodriguez, same type of thing out of Detroit.
Okay.
He made,
And I was
like Shuggy Otis. All of us, like those dudes made like three, and then they came out and all of a sudden.
That was it. Yeah.
Like one album.
But I mean, dude was nice. He had everything. He had the voice style.
He's good. Yeah, for sure.
It's crazy.
He's kind of popular now too, but he's dead, right?
Yeah. But he like the show people picked up because the music is the music. The music was dope. Right. It's just for whatever reason, like it didn't pop off or whatever. And then until like later.
But not now. It's just like you get buried. Now it's even worse because you get buried in the digital sauce. You get buried in the digital layers now.
Yeah.
There's probably 1 million albums we haven't heard that are dope as hell, but you can't keep up with all of it, right?
Yeah.
True.
But I got to bounce, man. I got to.
That's all good. No, I appreciate.
We've been out here for an hour and a half, though. That's not bad.
Yeah.
I gotta get some stuff done over here.
Understood. Greg Green, I appreciate you taking the time, and first time, and definitely insightful. Getting to know you more as well.
Appreciate it, brother. You too. Thanks for having me.
Project.
Definitely.
Fellow musician, huh?
You guys
Oh yeah. No.
That roots. But
most
before I
definitely.
go, I gotta say, get the cassette, the CD on
Mhm.
DITC.com. I got the Bandcamp. Got all the digital, all the streaming sites. But of course, I would prefer the buying the CD, buying the cassette,
Mhm.
or buying the link from Bandcamp, because then I actually and the artists who get money from that, other than what fraction of a cent on the dollar. That's always appreciated. So
Absolutely.
That makes
and that means I can keep funding some of the my future endeavors, and get
right.
this one with Greg Green out. This next one we're working on. We got to make
Forward
that.
to that. Yes.
Yeah, looking forward to them.
And I also want to thank Greg, for he's been for working with me, because he's a dope dude, dope artist.
Definitely.
Yeah,
And I
Definitely.
want
likewise.
to thank you too for the support, man. Ian, you're as
Always, man. Always appreciate the work you're putting out.
Yes,
Definitely.
sir. Yes,
you're
sir.
a real one.
Yeah. Shout out Pimpinel Jones, T. Elliott,
Ohkang,
Yeah,
Ohkang.
WIA
yeah.
2.0.
Ohkang's Razor is out now. Like Calcei said, go out there and support.
Yeah.
CD, cassette.
Cool.
All
Floor's
right.
yours. Any other shout out you want to give before we go?
Oh, my one more. I got one. My son and my son's band. They don't even have any links up. They're called Horrible. Horror, like WHORE. Horrible. So they're going to be coming with some stuff. They're a scream metal band. So
Okay.
they got my son, my younger son plays guitar in there, and then they're my one of their good friends, Tashawn, he's the lead singer, and then they got some other kids that come around the house. And they're all it's a metal band. They're all black though, so it's like they cake after death from Detroit.
Dope. Dope.
Yeah, so it's pretty. That's
Yeah,
kind of
man.
cool. The whole band. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Greg
So
Green.
Yeah, man.
we'll see what they do. We'll see if they actually get in and record anything. But
Yeah,
anyway,
man.
let me get
Never know.
going. All right, Greg and Ian, you have a good rest of the weekend.
Definitely.
You too, man.
And
All right,
All
man.
right.
peace.
On behalf of HHDG Media, we're going to say peace.
All right.
Peace.